take these tools away. I still wish that they would just grab the Karma. Personally, I'm like, even if you want to go back towards the Thresh, just make sure Uzi gets the Ashe then. Just don't get shoved in.
Well, we're about to get some of answers to some of those questions, but we're way deep into this champion select already. Let's go through some of these bans. So Rengar grades at least triple jungle bans towards condi. Jace Cannon leads in against Mlxg. First pick of Ivern, get to that in a second. Karma picked up by WE.
Yeah, that's 4 jungle bans in this entirety of the pick ban phase. So Mlxg going towards the Ivern pick. We talked about it just a little bit. He is a facilitator, so for him to get that pick, yeah, WE, you have to take these shields away because the shield composition is something RNG could look for.
But the nice thing is we've said it before, Xiye can take the Karma mid and he is super competent and very confident in the pick. So it's not like they're just denying a shield comp away from RNG. It's also exactly where they want to be.
Now it just looks like a double shield composition. And both teams are just vying for the remaining shields that are left on the board. Maybe even think towards something like an Orianna. I mean, Braum is holding a shield. Like, what else is there?
Typically, it means that they're going to go for a sieging composition. Like you said, Braum has the shield. It means that you're going to dissuade condi from going towards that Kha'Zix, but then you're that much safer to be extended on those lanes because he is great at disengaging. I would expect Uzi to go back towards the Caitlyn, possibly a Varus if he doesn't want to pick it up in this rotation.
Yeah, he has a few options because Ashe is available as well. They really are running down the clock. Maybe a little bit too much of the clock that they're running down.
That's a very good point, Raz. XiaoHu is going back into negative time now. We'll see what will come out of that.
Yeah, I guess before we figure out what's happening here on our screen, Caitlyn is a pick that you've mentioned that could work really well with the Ivern pick. Ashe is another pick that could really set it up. Strong points in lane, but also it could work well in these siege or just fights, just outright skirmishes.
That's a big thing for me that you said, Raz, is strong points in lane. The nice thing about having the Ashe there, having the Caitlyn, is that it automatically guarantees that you have a strong side of the map. And Ivern is so reliant on having pushing lanes because he wants to abuse how quickly he can run through a jungle. When he walks in, you cannot smite contest him, but he can only walk in safely if his lanes have prepared it ahead of time.
That's what I really want to see from here on out, is just draft those winning lanes, allow Ivern into that jungle and see if you can get a snowball in that early game. But it's just so interesting seeing those triple bans come out there against condi, and so far they still look to take away some of those shields. So Connie's going to have to start digging deep as well into his champion pool. May even see something on third rotation here. Yeah,
perhaps the Kha'Zix I would like to see out of it. Kha'Zix as well.
Oh, a lot has happened. Okay, so right. RNG, they had the Braum. Now they picked up the Camille for LetME. Okay, makes sense. Back over to the other side, WE, they raised the shield comp with a shield comp of their own for this Kog'Maw over to Mystic.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. You have the Lulu, you have the Karma. Now you need the big damage to follow suit with it. And frankly, you have to think, RNG, what's happening in draft phase? They have the Camille, 7.7, so she's seen her nerfs. She hasn't completely died out in the LPL. They can try to isolate that Kog'Maw, can try to reach back and get him, but it's going to be really hard to do.
I like that RNG banned out the Kha'Zix because that could have been a prime pick for WE to put in the jungle or in the top lane. They could have made it so that last pick could have been anything. So you might even just see a Nautilus coming out for WE, but they're just going to hold on to that.
Nautilus, Shen, both still available for 957. We know he's super confident on both those champions. Again, this guy normally doesn't play Fizz. He's expanded his champion pool recently to the likes of the Kled, to the likes of the Fizz, but he is through and through a tank facilitator.
Man, what an interesting champion select. Double AD carry bans towards RNG. Makes sense since Uzi hasn't picked anything up yet, so he doesn't have the Caitlyn or the Twitch on the board. Fizz and Kha'Zix, meanwhile, towards WE. That Kha'Zix coming in for condi. And now RNG, where does Uzi go? He might go back onto that Sivir, and there it is. Taking a page perhaps out of Imp's book.
I quickly want to say that with the Kha'Zix pickup, I feel like 957 could actually go for a side lane split pusher because they have a great 1-4 setup. If Kha'Zix chooses to max his W, or excuse me, evolve his W, he has great disengage potential there. You have the speed up, so the Lulu and the Karma keeping that Kog'Maw safe. Like, Team WE can be so flexible that they see the Camille and they could actually go toe-to-toe and try to match that power in a side lane.
The RNG round out their composition with the Ekko into that mid lane. Be facing down Xiye's Karma. And now we are looking for a top lane pick here for WE. And a ninja with a shield, why not?
Makes a little sense. It works with the Kha'Zix as well. I'm a little surprised that they had Kha'Zix, and it works with the composition now that the shield is coming through, so they have multiple power points both in the Kog'Maw and in the Kha'Zix if he decides to go in. But Ivern has been a pick that some junglers have said that it works really well with against Kha'Zix, because once you lay down Daisy, isolation damage just does not come through from Kha'Zix.
But now that we get to see these compositions and step back, this is much more an RNG comp that we were expecting. You know, a bit outside the ecosystem with the likes of Sivir, but it is Uzi. We know that it's a signature champion of his. But otherwise, you have the ability to play double teleport, side lane shove between the Ekko and the Camille, as well as just really strong 1v1 dueling potential.
Yeah, just try and set up that jungle Mlxg, so you can get in there, make that Ivern work for himself. It wasn't the first pick for them, so almost showing their hands. So it's a question of whether they were expecting then for the adaptation to be for W to start taking away these shields, then this is what they wanted all along, or they just picked that Ivern up very early and they had to go for something different in the end.
Big smiles on Hart and Coach Owen's faces there. Again, Hart, former Samsung player. Yes, it was blue, and Home was the coach for Samsung White, but definitely very familiar with each other.
Yeah. And the smiles indicate to me that they're definitely both happy with their compositions and what they drafted right here. So, let's see what RNG can do. That game one, RNG, not the same team we saw turn up to play.
Yeah, immediately just the benefits that you'd see from RNG is in the jungle matchup. You can see that they decided to put full focus on that right from pick ban. The bans was 3 jungle bans on RNG's side, and they picked up themselves up the Ivern. We talked about that a lot, but with how last game went on with them picking Mlxg being Jarvan, really didn't work out well for him. So you might have a little bit more pressure now.
Yeah, full onus on RNG. They need to take control of the early game and start pushing tempo. Team WE, their composition will scale, and it will scale hard into late game. They want to sit back, they want to farm Mystic, and they want to absorb a lot of RNG's time with the Ekko, the Camille. They have the Karma, they have the Shen. It's all about Condi and Mystic, but that's not until, you know, 20, 25, 30 minutes late.
Mystic's on a roll, though. Had an exceptional game one performance. Outdamaged Uzi, outdamaged everyone on the Rift. Say hello to the deer as we say hello to Summoner's Rift as well. And the teams behind these teams, or the crowd behind these teams, as we head into game 2. RNG versus WE. Let's see if RNG can pull it back.
Fun part about WE's composition is even though they scale quite well with the Kog'Maw, massive amount of shields that they get, Xiye on Karma does quite well into the Ekko pick, can shove into him, do right well, and people are really comfortable with Shen into the Camille.
Yeah, it was considered a soft counter pick in just how he could play around her Q damage there when he procs his shield. I do want to kind of step back, though, on the statement that I made that Team WE's composition only wants to scale into late game, because the more that I think about it and the more itemization that we've seen of Karmas in the LPL is they go for that Athene's Ardent Censer, you know, 2-item build. And when Kog'Maw has his Blade of the Rune King and Hurricane, he spikes already incredibly hard by himself, and then having those 2 supportive items on top of it, I don't think that's no longer like a 25-minute, you know, online Kog'Maw. That's like a 15, 20-minute Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and in the mid-game, RNG's composition, a nice 1-3-1 with the Camille and Ekko. If they go towards fights, then it would be great that they would flank. That being said, Mlxg is looking a little cheeky, going in for that invade.
I think it has been predicted by Condi, but he was spotted on that ward coming in from RNG, so they know that he's there, taking away that blue buff on RNG's side. So we'll see what comes of that in the end, but weirdly enough, it's junglers taking the enemy team's jungle at this point in time.
Yeah, it's smart from Kha'Zix because once you do go up against an Ivern who can look to constantly counter jungler, you just cheesily take a few camps, you just start trading sides. And that's what's happening here. Kha'Zix is in top side, trading jungle, so he doesn't lose out in experience, but with that being said, he's going to be having a lot of pressure top side.
It's also a great heads-up play from Xiye. Yeah, we've kind of devolved into vertical jungling, but Mlxg was like popping his head mid like, XiaoHu, you got me? And Xiye's like, I know how this works. I've seen the Ivern before, these cheesy level 2 ganks. Not today.
Yeah, Condi's going to be taking away that red buff right there. Mlxg was thinking about a bot lane gank, and may still be thinking of one.
Definitely, speaking of cheese, here we go.
He's coming in, flashes all over the place, but is it going to turn into anything? Ben locked down, Mystic trying to make his way out as the speed boost coming in from that heel, but the flash, the auto, and the first blood for Uzi.
They didn't expect that. In fact, LetME was trying to get vision topside because he was pushing up, but immediately Mlxg has full control bottom side. He goes down towards that, gets the kill for himself.
And it was a phenomenal flash from Mlxg to make sure that he was going to nail the Q 100%. Then he used the trigger seed. That slow is incredible. I believe it's like a free Rylai's.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Engine just walked them down, feeding the first blood like the cherry on top into Uzi's back pocket.
And that seed got nerfed as well, so it's still honestly insane.
And it's incredibly important for Sivir at this point. We talked about how Kog'Maw, he's going to spike on 2 items, especially if Karma goes that supportive build. Whereas Sivir, the reason why she was pushed out of the ecosystem is her build paths just aren't as gold efficient as every other AD carry who can utilize Blade of the Ruined King. But having that leg up, getting the first blood, it gets him that much closer to a breaking point because she's still strong late game.
Yeah, and with the Braum here, those skirmishes are a constant. You might even see Mlxg go back towards that if they, with the flashes down from Ben.
We took a brief look at topside as well. LetME up against 957, but Shen was the old counter to Camille, and already it's doing a great job up against her in the top lane, especially with the flurry of nerfs that Camille has received these last couple matches. But that being said, LetME's going to knock 957 deeper into this lane with a shallow dash through Caller lands, and Mlxg is going to do a bit of damage here and push back 957, but that tower shot just evened up the tables.
Yeah, that would have been good damage. That would have been a good gank just for pressure had the turret damage not gone onto LetME. So that was a little bit sad coming out of LetME. A little bit too greedy to get that W on the cross, so gank didn't really mean much.
But what it does do is it forces the teleport, and now the option for LetME. He can try to push this wave back. It's very dangerous into this matchup and try to conserve his teleport, but at least you take away one of Shen's abilities to get around the map, which means that when he pulls the trigger on Stand United, that he could possibly trade his tower in return if he's not set up correctly.
That's a good point. It really does help out RNG's ability to look towards taking towers. Camille, if she can look to pressure that top lane tower, and once XiaoHu's able to go into side lanes, it's going to be harder for WE to utilize their teamfight comps towards Dragon, towards Baron once it does come up. It is an Earth Dragon immediately, so it's great for RNG that they're able to take control immediately.
Condi just taking away a bit of this vision has been deeply placed here by RNG. He's going to jump over the wall, but he's going to spot Mlxg right there. I'm not sure if his lanes can respond though. LetME's out of mana, and Ekko is basically under his tower. Condi actually just steps, so but it's going to be smited away. It's not like he could ever contest that, but he forces out the smite at least.
100%, that's the thing. When you walk into Ivern's jungle, your only there's no option A or B. Your only option is you have to kill him and force him out of the jungle. You can never smite contest. Condi thought he could get away with it because LetME wasn't in lane, but that was pretty cute.
He'll give it a shot. He'll see what he can get away with. But in the end, WE are just looking to scale up anyway.
Yeah, at the very least, Condi's able to get deep control ward in there, and at the same time, the Scuttle Crab. So he still gets proper control within the jungle, even though he's not going to be able to take the camp.
Okay, this top lane matchup again. The awkward situation where LetME is now freezing this wave and Shen can't step up. Fear of a potential gank, someone over the wall, Mlxg being there. Well, at the same time, just being in range for LetME's harass. Plus, he's got that level 6, so a big power spike in that lane.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he still has a lot of safety, even if he does want to overreach, because Taunt and Flash are available for him. He shouldn't die at this point if he plays it correctly. Who knows? Daisy could be obnoxious, but I feel like it's just this ticking time bomb of setting up the vision bottom and getting 957 and Xiye down there.
Yeah, and 957 at the same time did have jungle taking camps topside, so he had a little bit of extra stability there. So he was able to get a nice back across. That being said,
Condi pretty angry that Mlxg just walked in, took his blue buff away, but with Ming being there, nothing he can do about it.
And this is one of the most obnoxious things about Ivern, is that the whole team has to combat him. If you do not time your backs correctly, whoever thinks to time their bot lane backs with your blue buff 100% of the time, if your duo's not there, Ivern's going to do that all day to you.
And that's the great thing about Sivir, is that she's going to be able to hold the lane alone. Nice ability to just farm without having to walk up to the wave. And she has full clear wave clear potential if she wants to. So then that means that Ming's able to help out Mlxg and look to invade, look to gain control of the map. Something that we usually say that Ben and Condi can do impressively. It's actually within RNG's wheelhouse.
Man, everyone is getting a blue buff. You get a blue buff. XiaoHu, you get a blue buff. I'll take a second blue buff. Meanwhile, in that mid lane, Xiye, there's nothing you can do. He's running out of mana gradually, and he has gone for that Phoenix Codex, so it's not even like he has that lost chapter. So over time, just Mlxg being obnoxious in this early game, taking away these small objectives, making it harder for WE, just extending that timer, as it were.
But they do need to start pushing a little bit more. The problem is that they're still in a shaky position in terms of top lane. So I feel like it's really looking around XiaoHu or Uzi to break this game open, because Team WE, yeah, they're losing these small advantages, losing the blue buffs, things like that, don't want to be extended in their lanes, but they're still fine to sit in an extended lane phase.
XiaoHu on his way up. Taunt goes through LetME. Hookshot comes in, just hits the shield, there's the ultimatum. It's only a couple seconds on this one. And XiaoHu comes into this top lane, looks for the assassinate, but great Spirit's Refuge to keep him alive. Flash under the tower, snap back with the ultimate, and Xiye is a little too late to the punch of the root caller lands. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, condi getting caught out, Uzi chasing him down, ultimate, the fissure comes out, and there's another kill to Uzi.
RNG are able to take it back, 3 kills across the map, 2 in that play, and Xiye is not done either.
Now he's under attack. A 4-man gank with Daisy chiming in as well, but he will make it out of this situation with the flash.
At this point, Xiye is just trying to clear the tower. Here comes 957.
He's going in for round 3 though, but this time he's got Shen with him to try and zone them away. Daisy's going to bite it, but that's not a champion kill.
And that's what we love to see from XiaoHu. XiaoHu has been a great roaming force from the team, and the moment he was able to get freed up in that mid lane, goes straight topside, usually hard to gank a Shen, but he makes it work.
So both teams did something very good in this last couple of plays. A, RNG pick up a lot of this pocket gold. I really like this play. Heads up from Uzi and Ming. They catch out Condi. Condi, frankly, shouldn't have been there. It's not paying attention. Some pocket gold. But the thing is Ben and Mystic immediately make the rotation mid lane. They make sure that on the back of Condi's death, that RNG aren't taking a structure. Likewise, Xiye and 957, they pull in the Stand United, and they make sure that Daisy can't be used to siege top lane tower.
But what a difference from game 1 coming in here. RNG already with this early game advantage. We have to see if they can now transition it, especially into an early game dragon such as this Earth Elemental. But still, 2 kills on Uzi is good omen for this lineup. Plus the fact that they have big item spikes coming in across the board. About completed in that mid lane. Top lane actually splitting focus. LetME gone for that team out for the wave clear, and the Sheen coming out. Forbidden Idol in the jungle there from Mlxg, making his way towards the redemption. And Uzi moving towards his own Infinity Edge.
This looks like round 2 from XiaoHu. Use the blast plan. Nope, just gonna deep ward.
Oh, and so you're just going to be able to see that time and time again. He had that space based off the fact that he had a better back timing, but he's just protecting his ward. Not even Condi can clear out that control.
XiaoHu stepping up. He's just literally sat on top of a ward from WE. They're trying to figure out what he's doing, but no, it was a trap. Condi's down. No, the ward wasn't worth it.
Condi thought he had the ability to take it because Xiye was pushing up mid. XiaoHu was backing away, saying, all right, I'll take that wave. Fake, psych, I got the kill.
Just kidding. That was the wrong number. And now LetME and Ming, rather Mlxg, are looking towards this top side. That being said, it's still a Shen, so they can't really do anything.
They can't quite figure out the tower aggro. It was a bit of a bumpy ride. Maybe turn it around.
Oh, Mystic taking a lot of damage and with the fissure, but Ming will not be able to translate it into anything with Uzi. Here comes the teleport, recall landing onto 957. Here comes Daisy as well. LetME backing up the tower, but this is good juggling of the aggro, and it's going to be a slow push. Just kidding, because XiaoHu's going to drop him on the spot. A kill over to RNG, plus the tower. RNG in such a good position in this early game.
Yeah, and Xiye just doesn't know what to do at this point because XiaoHu is not in that mid lane. He's not living in that lane. He's just going straight topside because RNG is like, we're taking this tower. Shen will not have time to breathe.
And this is the thing, when you gank the Shen, it means that you keep him out of impacting the other lanes. It's that same mentality of gank the teleport, so you know where you have the numbers advantage and win.
And the last thing you want if you're WE is a Camille who can roam mid, a Camille who can go bot side, because she is incredibly impactful in flanks and making fights happen with her hook shot.
And now, at this point of the game, not only do you have that Camille that you're talking about, Raz, but you also have the Ekko, and then the Sivir will come on late game. Whereas on Team WE, you're putting all of your eggs in the Kog'Maw basket.
Oh, Xiye, let's see if he can make it out of this one. Well, he dodges the parallel convergence, dodges the root caller, but you can't dodge the Hextech ultimatum. And Xiye will be falling. Surely, he's still alive as XiaoHu will finally put that last nail in the coffin. Condi comes in, 957 defending, but he managed to take out the Camille, and it's a 1-for-1 trade so far.
They're just playing around on this one, but
bit of a weird trade in the end. But now we've got the rest of the cavalry arriving from WE. They really want to defend Mystic, but he can't make his way in to the rest of his troop. And as a result, he'll have to take the long scenic route.
And thankfully, Xiye bought enough time for the rest of his team to come in, because RNG have just been trying to run roughshod here.
I'm actually really curious that RNG didn't decide to try to force the Mountain Dragon. They had teleport on LetME, so despite the fact that their top laner fell, they could get him immediately back into the fight, but no one seems in a big rush to head down towards that 5v5 arena.
And you think that they would want to, too. With the amount of flank potential that they would have off of XiaoHu and LetME, they can really just go straight onto Mystic and pop him.
I have an inkling that there may be a very strong voice in RNG that says, guys, I'm close to an item, just wait.
Is it Uzi?
I think it might be Uzi.
The guy we see recalling on the screen who really wants Infinity Edge. Well, we'll see about that one as he goes back to base right now and see if it will indeed be that pickup. And there it is. Almost like magic.
And this is now the go button. So a lot of LPL AD carries still do this. I know that Stixie really popularized the Hurricane, the flat AD as the pushing build. We saw it a lot on Caitlyn. But in LPL, when you see the eye edge come out, that means I'm confident I'm going to get the crit. We're looking for the 5v5. Let's bum rush Dragon. Yeah,
he has a nice bit of utility now that he's level 9, of course, based off ulti. But a nice thing about the crit that you can get with IE is that once you have, of course, Ricochet on waves, much easier, much faster to wave clear. So he can also just go towards the utility portion of just playing the wave clear bot because of how well LetME and XiaoHu are doing so far in this game.
It doesn't mean Uzi's going to start farming though. Still shoving this one in the bottom side, just making sure all these lanes are pushing out from RNG. You can see LetME also pushing past the river line, just allowing Mlxg in, see if he can get any smite contests off of condi.
I feel like every time we see Uzi, he's got a red buff on.
Oh, it helps that you have the nice tree man that can give it to you.
I don't think I've seen him without a red buff this entire series.
It's pretty true. Or at least for this game, or maybe last game as well. They make sure that the Emperor Uzi has everything that he could ever want in life. But he's going to turn it on into this mid lane. XiaoHu following after Xiye, trying to get that passive proc, and there he does. But Connie's here as well to clear out that minion wave, and RNG cannot find any footing right now to try and take down these towers.
Yeah, they're trying to find an opening in the mid lane. Flash is available for Xiye, and honestly, Kog'Maw and Lulu are constantly roaming with Uzi and Ming as well, so they can never find freedom going mid. But they found the top lane push.
And they found the top lane brush as they look to siege this inner tower. Parallel convergence coming down, making sure that 957 can't even look for a taunt. And RNG will find another tower, 2 towers in the top side. Meanwhile, WE do make their way down towards this dragon.
And this is RNG just deciding that they don't need the dragon as the arena to snowball the game. That they're strong enough in the 1v1s, and XiaoHu has enough control around the map that they can siege the towers without winning the team fight.
And so a primary focus for RNG is this mid lane. They're going to just push Xiye off of it. I wonder what WE is going to do to answer. Simply, a simple answer, they can't.
RNG again, as they can build that tower, falling like dominoes, and Condi is going to get his prize of the dragon, but man, RNG are relentless. They are not stopping this push in the mid lane. Uzi does not want to be tanking necessarily, but that's a big chip damage onto that tower.
And look at Mystic's positioning. Team WE can't do anything. They can't look for a flank on RNG being that extended because Kog'Maw's not in position.
Yeah, 957 is always getting pushed in way in towards his own turret, so he doesn't have the ability to really impact any of these fights. So WE, they're just playing the long game at this point. They're being forced to, But at the very least, they have an answer within this Kog'Maw comp. So, hope is not lost 17 minutes into the game. They just have to play their cards right.
But we're inching ever closer to that Baron point, Raz, and my fear is that as RNG are eating up so much real estate on this map, particularly the top side, that Baron area is going to go very dark for WE very soon, and this composition can shred it.
That's for certain. More items being picked up on the side of WE. That Bladed Ruin King, of course, from Mystic, making his way towards the second recurve bow item. See where that goes in a second. Xiye has gone very early Ardent Censer, along with his Fiend's Unholy Grail. Top lane as well, 957. Has his first big item, that's some 5k. So we're just trying to ramp up, but RNG are constantly just giving themselves extra time on that time bomb. And they're up against here for WE, and it's pushing them back. You know, that 15 minutes we spoke about now, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And RNG are just trying to kill that Nexus before that time bomb goes off.
Yeah, I wonder if WE are going to be looking towards this Infernal Dragon once it does start to look up, because of how far behind they are currently. They might look to give that away, but if you keep giving away these dragons, you're never going to be able to push this one forward.
I feel like it's important to expand on the context on how they're far behind. In a 2v2, 3v3, depending on the matchup, yes, WE are behind. But around this Kog'Maw, they're actually right on clock. They've got the 2 supportive items for Karma, they've got the Blade of the Rune King and the pieces of Hurricane coming in, and once that's online, if it's a 5v5, Team WE still have a window.
And that was 1.5 item Kog'Maw that just destroyed Ming, so as soon as Mystic hits that second item, you can already imagine the damage that's going to do to RNG. Just about getting there right now for WE, and we are waiting on their dragon. It's about 3 minutes out as we push towards this middle lane, and RNG just need to take small pot shots, and eventually it's going to go down. It's already a very low health tower, and Mlxg just being annoying.
They need to just be brave, frankly, but diving is still very scary with Shen.
As he is coming in right now, Xiye is racing towards LetME, trying to get this taunt down. Instant flash, did not really want to get taunt flash by 957.
And that was smart from him to do that because of how low that turret was. Oh, they found Xiye.
Xiye steps way too far forwards. Condi's going to get caught out as well in that flurry of action. But LetME will claim that kill over to his Camille.
RNG just have so much pressure here. They are so far ahead, and that outer bot lane tower is still up. It's going to be a very easy job for them to just look for that tower now.
Exactly. Up for how long? They can just swing around behind this and take it for free. And now they've not opened up space not only on the top side of the map for that Baron that's newly spawned, but now the bottom side of the map for when that Infernal comes up.
This tower's all but gone. A 5th tower to RNG. Oh. Absolutely incredible. Condi getting caught out. Tactical Sweep has to flash the Root Caller. He will get away with his life, but its resources being burnt left and right. And I cannot emphasize enough the difference from game 1 into game 2 from RNG, an entirely different squad.
I feel like a lot of the credit has to go to XiaoHu. Yes, Mlxg has been that facilitator. We said look for the Ivern pick. He's no longer just that hyper-aggressive jungler in your face all the time. It's about empowering his mid laner. 4-0-1 right now on a signature pick like the Ekko. And this is the thing. XiaoHu is having the split of his career. It speaks to the strength of RNG that Uzi isn't the guy that you're afraid of on this roster.
Yeah, XiaoHu. What's funny about this composition is that XiaoHu is doing so well, so he just goes towards the top lane and allows LetME to have so much gold. 3 assists to his name, 1 kill, of course. And they're not doing a 1-3-1. They're just brute forcing you. They move together. So LetME and XiaoHu, both Chinese players who, yeah, you think that is Uzi's team, but they're the ones who are driving this game to a breaking point.
And I know you guys both know this about me. I love Sivir. I'm a big Sivir one-trick for the longest time. We've seen a couple of different itemizations of Sivir in the LPL. This time around, it doesn't sound too uncommon to go Infinity Edge into Rapid Fire, but it actually is for the LPL Sivers. I like it against Kog'Maw specifically because you're increasing that range to get the W to hopefully bounce back into where Kog'Maw is going to be sitting, abusing you with his superior W.
Yeah, I should try and get some of that damage in there. But it's actually pretty often that we do see those static shivs come out. It does look like Uzi is looking towards another crit item. On top of that, may even be the Phantom Dancer. XiaoHu's on his way to the spot lane, but again, Xiye's just going to walk it off. Being said, they do have almost 7,000 gold advantage to RNG at this point in time. WE have that 1 mountain dragon. It doesn't really mean too much by itself. 30 seconds left in this Infernal coming up for RNG. And they already have full control. You can see every single member of RNG is in WE's jungle or making their way there.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the second crit cloak. They ain't even going into a Phantom Dancer at that point, so because you need a Zeal and a few more daggers. But don't know where that one's going to.
Hold on though.
Find out. Tactical sweep over the wall from LetME, but we are pushing the wave in, and RNG, they have 5 members around this tower, and there is no one to respond. They strangle WE of Vision, make their way into the bottom side, and find an instant tower.
And they may continue to push. They're going to get a huge prize here of taking away that teleport, which means playing around the top side of the map after they pick up this Infernal that much stronger.
Yeah, they know that Xiye burnt his TP, as you said. He's going to keep going top just to chip on this tower, which means RNG have full autonomy this bot side. They could have just went back if they won with the next wave. That'll take a little bit too long, so they're just going to take this Infernal.
Is he going to help out, take this one away?
What's important is to look at where Team WE are on the map right now. So while RNG take down Infernal, there's this tiny window where WE can move in, start clearing out some of this vision, or contesting for vision around the Baron. It helps that Xiye also pushes down that tower. The creeps can now reach that much farther forward, take that passive vision information with them, and kind of get their foot slightly back in the door here for this game.
Still just trying to wedge it in though, like the fact that WE is in a much faster game from RNG, and to be fair, this is what WE did draft in this composition, right? We know it's going to take a little bit for them to turn online. And RNG went with a much slower composition last time around, which is very different from what we usually see. 957, chased down here by XiaoHu.
Well, that's not just XiaoHu, that's also LetME. Look at that trek. That is a marathon race bottom.
It's taken forever at 957. He's got to peace out. See you later, nerd.
Yeah, he recognized that. XiaoHu definitely used his W, his shield, which is his only stun a little bit too early. So, good news for RNG was just because of all of that pressure. 957 does not have his shield, which means that WE's teamfight potential might not be the strongest at this point in time.
But it now puts emphasis on XiaoHu that he needs to control the bottom side wave because LetME no longer has that teleport. He needs to be grouped back up with the team. And they're running there. Nope, they're going back bottom.
Definitely not. Mystic is on its 2 items there. Little Kog'Maw is getting pretty fed at this point in time, 2.5 items. 957 still has his flash, but he may be burning it right now. Hook shot land, parallel convergence, catches him just on the edge, but he's still not taking any damage just yet, and they are tanking this tower from RNG. He's still just kiting away, making his way behind us. One snap back with a Corona break. 957 still alive. LetME goes down. 1v2 kill. Here comes Mystic. Here comes the cavalry. And 957, unbelievable play, comes out with 2 kills.
I guess, you know what, 957, if they bring you food, you're just going to eat it up. Don't understand the idea behind XiaoHu and LetME going for that because 957 is too damn tanky at this point in the game.
And it was a great heads-up play by the rest of his team as well. They made sure they were next to the Baron so RNG couldn't get anything. They've now doubled down on trying to siege bot.
They're trying to get some damage onto this tower, but WE are going to respond with a Baron!
Oh, what's happening? They're just trading pressure.
I think it's enough for RNG. What is going on?
They've lost their minds!
Unreal. WE, 2 kills, all off the back of 957. The collapse, the Baron, and WE are right back in this game.
And we were talking about how RNG, they come back game 2, but off of this one mistake. Look at 957 here. He's just getting lit up, but he's not taking much damage. That W is eating up so much damage that XiaoHu and LetME could have potentially been putting down on him. And with the tower shots going off on XiaoHu, he had to back away. LetME couldn't take the hurt as well. And the entirety of WE follow through. Now they have Baron, now they have control of the game.
Taking that mid tower. WE. Absolutely unbelievable. Mlxg coming back here as well. Table scraps just being thrown towards him. And I just cannot believe my eyes. What just happened? And 957, you know, I said it before, I was a massive critic, but what he did last game coming into this one as well, basically just bringing WE back into it by himself.
It's completely fair to have been a critic of 957 before this series. Frankly, the last few weeks of the LPL, he fell flat. But in the finals, when the pressure is on, when the magnifying glass of everyone is looking down at him, he pulled out the Fizz, and he's pulled back to the Shen, and he is just destroying this game.
He is the backbone you want for a composition, for a team here on the stage, the big stage in Nanjing, China, and he is pulling it home. He's going to take a tower for himself as well. He just keeps going. Yeah, and look how much pressure he's willing to absorb. Now RNG, they're just going for a last-ditch effort to push in mid, even though WE have the Baron. What they should do from this point forward, yeah, they have to eat up Baron time because they don't have control right now. But relax, you still have split potential with XiaoHu and LetME, and wait for them to push out these sideways.
And speaking of waiting, we no longer have to wait for the Kog'Maw. Check out those items. He went for the Rage Blade, he's got the Blade of the Rune King, Hurricane's online, and then you have the 2 supportive items for Karma. Mystic is going to hit like a truck.
3 ice and Kog'Maw. I feel like the timer has run out.
Yeah.
RNG, good luck with that one. There are so many shields now for WE.
Yeah, and Xiye just purchased that Rabidons just now, so he's going to be hitting a little hard.
Just, we always talk about that window of time closing. I feel like RNG were like scaling the house, trying to get in through the bathroom window, and then bam, right on their fingers.
And thankfully for RNG, they still can go towards the towers that they were able to hit for themselves. So, dual purposes here. RNG, they can still go towards sideways, and it's going to be difficult for WE to deal with that other than grouping towards the dragons, which could be coming up in 30 seconds. Right now, RNG says, look, we're going to ignore that Ocean Dragon. That's not really, we're not going to pay any mind to us. It doesn't really matter. We are going to focus on these side lanes. Look where Ekko and Camille is right now.
I feel like I've seen this play before, and it didn't go well the first time.
Yeah, this is...
It's the same team as well. Please don't do it. You know how strong 957 is.
You have families, please.
People back home that love you. And WE are going to push down the bottom side. Take another tower.
Oh, wait a minute.
This time they're not going for the Shen, they're going for the tower, but he has a taunt.
We're in a base race.
We are. But there's an Uzi on the opposite side. How much damage can they actually do? Because 957, he's going to town on XiaoHu, but it's more about this bottom side as they are launching themselves onto Uzi. He's going to turn it around. Look at the damage onto Condi, but huge shields. He's back to full health and then more so. Onto this inhib. WE are looking to take this and get out.
Yeah, that left Ekko towards the top lane right now, so he's getting the inhib of his own.
But Team WE, they could continue to actually push this. They still have Baron buff.
XiaoHu does have the TP. They're going to try and push up against this one, but they do not have minions. Yeah, Uzi needs to clear out that cannon to keep that back row protection online. XiaoHu did manage to take down the inhib.
Just a slight mistake there. You think if Xiye had used his TP to preserve the cannon creep, so they would have gotten the damage reduction onto, or excuse me, gotten past the damage reduction on the towers, Team WE could have continued to push there.
WE turn their sights onto this dragon now. Soulflare comes down and will be them just taking this one away for themselves. That mountain dragon actually did pay off in the end. This Mister will go back to base for seconds, clear out this minion wave. And WE, the fact that they were 8,000 gold behind, and not even 1,000 gold behind at this point in time, 2.6k Baron power play, incredible stuff.
And now the scary thing is a new window has opened and it is slowly closing. We're dealing with 2 different timers. The Ocean Dragon just fell, which means that Elder's now on the clock, but Baron will spawn before it. 2-minute Baron, and Team WE have the Baron in him, while RNG only have the Elder Dragon in him. Can RNG stall out long enough to compensate for losing that in him over Baron?
WE getting antsy. There's the flash coming in from 957, locks down XiaoHu, still has his ultimate. And they are going to back it on up. Condi did take a bit of damage there from Uzi. As Boomerang comes flying by, whistling past. LetMe's going to clear out the rest of this minion wave, but WE, the fact that they can start making these maneuvers just adds another trap for RNG to try and deal with.
Yeah, being able to control mid here from WE. Now that they have full autonomy towards blue side jungle of RNG, WE can just push this in, go towards the Baron once it does spawn in 1 minute, and RNG have to deal with the super minions coming in the bottom lane.
Mystic stepping up. I start feeling the days of old, the old Juggernaut compositions come flashing back. As Mystic is stepping up to these towers by himself, with all these shields on top of him. And RNG are still just trying to defend at this point in time.
Nice
We're back
thing
to
is,
a very similar position as we were in game 1 here for us.
nice thing is that they still have so much wave clear potential in RNG's composition. They can quickly clear out these waves. Ekko, Camille, they can deal with the super creeps bottom. Uzi can just sit mid lane. So RNG still have so many tools on the comp to create breathing room around that Baron.
LetME is still pushing relentlessly in that bottom side. 7-3, and it's a moment of calm. But it is the calm before the storm, because you know it's coming. The Elder Dragon will be the next one on the board. Baron up in 10. Point of contention for both teams.
Yeah, WE can't do too much, because even though the inhib that they lost was topside, so theoretically they should be able to control that, Shen was getting overwhelmed by those super minions, so the entirety of the team had to push top so he could just get a little bit of help, so they lost a bit of footing on that Baron. So RNG, they have the ability to pressure towards this, and it looks like they're going to go towards the duo of both XiaoHu and LetME.
Push continues, clearing out these waves, manipulating these side waves, clearing out the vision. Sticker's just tearing through these minion waves. And that was a super minion. You may have not noticed the fact that he took it down so quickly, but Condi is sticking around, placing down those deep control wards. 957 filling up the floats as well.
I feel like this is a tug of war about patience at this moment. We're just making these tiny little inches around the Baron, you know, moving in, placing vision, trading it, clearing it out, and it's now a question of who's going to get impatient or who's just going to step slightly out of position. Like, Team WE need to be so cautious about walking their dog around this little Kog'Maw. Whereas RNG need to make sure that they don't get separated or split apart on the map as they're clearing out these super creeps and get collapsed upon.
Yeah, what's really worrying for WE too, just based off the fact that the two TPs of XiaoHu and LetME can both go towards the bottom lane and look to pressure this tower. The Ivern can just hide the Baron, so they can't even take vision of this. The bush is just going to get cleared time and time again of RNG.
They were trying to start it off. RNG were doing what they could.
Oh.
Supers onto the Nexus turrets though. WE have to respond. Xiye is going to be janitor on this one. RNG keep up the pressure. Bottom side, nice double torn out from 957. But the towers are dying way too fast. Snapback with the Chrono Break, burning that big ultimate. A bit surprising out there from the Ekko.
RNG have just done their business here. They put so much pressure towards the bottom lane, and top lane's just getting smacked so hard by these super minions. Sure, they have the inhib now. Oh, great save. No, wait a minute. Just kidding.
The tower's dead.
Oh, no.
Last little particle being thrown out there by that caster minion. 957 still defending 1 versus 2. Now we've got Xiye with him jumping after XiaoHu. No ultimate, being chased down into the Zhonya's. LetME coming in from behind as well. XiaoHu taken out. Twilight Assault from 957. Taking on Camille now. The ultimatum just trying to buy some distance. But Xiye, you're not getting away from him. He's going to lead you down. And they have CC for days. LetME again rooted up. This is being knocked around, punted back and forth. And WE are going to find a second kill. 2v2, tag team from hell. WE, 2 more kills.
It's such a smart play from WE. You know what? If you're going to get double team, why don't you bring in your partner of Xiye? And they were able to control it. They have a TP of their own. RNG cannot start this Baron.
And it was only possible because of the strength in Mystic, that they had confidence in the 3v3 that was left on the map. It's now Baron for Team WE.
Look at this. Mystic and Condi are basically duoing this Baron, and most of that damage is, let's be real, coming from Mystic. WE, 2 more kills, take down the Baron, second one of the game. And again, I feel like we just went back in time, we just channeled Ekko, because that's what happened. XiaoHu and LetME tried to take on the Shen, this time he had backup, and they killed him again.
This is great communication from WE. They are finally able to wrestle the gold lead away from RNG. So now WE is just like, all right, we played it slow. We analyzed the situation where 957 was just constantly getting shoved in by this double team. RNG's not playing a 1-3-1. They're just trying to outright try to bully 957 in. So Xiye is like, I have TP. I'm just going to, we win this 2v2.
100%. This was RNG's game to lose for about the first 20 minutes. Team WE have turned it on its head, but they still need to close. And WE have been put in this position multiple times and fallen down.
That is true, but they have been more consistent than other teams, and now the fact that they've got that Baron, they have the Elder Dragon, they have everything going their way, including the gold lead at 37 minutes.
It's exactly 37 minutes.
Ooh.
It's time for WE to shine, not only with their composition, but where they thrive. RNG, you got one last shot top lane.
And if at first you don't succeed, try again. The duo will go back up there. Mitar goes down. Condi pushing after.
It's getting definitely really tense because Camille and Ekko were topside, with how fast WE were just pushing them in. Yeah, they're already backing away. Camille and Ekko are now joining the team.
Second hit him. Gonna fall. Over to WE. I don't know what's going on. RNG just not able to draw that line in the sand.
So the mentality was, send XiaoHu and LetME back up top lane, try to trade inhib for inhib. If you can trade inhib against the Baron team, that's perfectly fine. That's a better trade for you because they should have more. The problem is you take or you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. They didn't even attempt it. They saw that they were too late, the creep was too big, and Kog'Maw is too massive. And they just got run over.
And RNG, they're still pushing out, placing down that deep vision, trying to at least track where WE are, but they're so far out. And there are multiple members of WE chasing them around the map. Here comes Xiye. He's following after. He's got 9,007 behind him. Here comes Condi. Ming may have to sacrifice his life for his ADC on this one. They're still chasing after Drawn. Flash onto Ming. He will jump away. Mlxg. Redemption's coming down. Double healing coming out. And WE are just getting these summoners. They haven't quite gotten that kill, but that was so risky from RNG.
Now, thankfully for RNG, they stay alive, and XiaoHu is able to get this bot lane push, so 957 had to respond. 957 still has TP, so if a fight happens on the opposite side of the map, they can still respond. So even though WE are still charging out ahead with their Elder Dragon, RNG still have responses.
I mean, the hero of this play right now is MVP Creep Wave. Look at how long it's taking for this little wave to get down there. That's what Team WE are waiting on.
Pushing in this tower now. Defense coming in from Mlxg. Ming standing by. And here comes the push. You cannot stand against this Kog'Maw. He is strong. He is fed. Tower goes down. Pushing into this top side. The last remaining bastion of hope for RNG.
And we really haven't seen a big full 5v5 from RNG late game. They still have the likes of the Ekko and the Camille. They can reach into that backline, try to find Mystic and pop him. Ekko will do ridiculous damage, but they need to make sure that they can flank appropriately.
What's really difficult about that, because even in the ideal situation for RNG, if they do get this proper flank off, WE have been in this position before. And now Ben, who's on Lulu, if this flank TP does happen, going to be able to polymorph someone, make it really difficult for Camille to get any bit of burst on Mystic.
Baron buff is worn out. Big wave play coming in from Uzi, and damage as well onto Condi. Mystic stepping up, has those shields, bit of chip damage coming in. Bit of bottom lane. 957 just going 1v2 once more. Here comes the TP, look for the backup, but this could be the moment that WE start to throw the game. 957 down, and the rest of the team are just trying to edge around the fight. 957 is going to fall. Daisy following after. But here comes Mystic, so much damage onto Ming. He'll take down one, he's going huge! Finds one, gets two, chasing down everyone on RNG. And Condi is on the front lines, but there's nothing RNG can do. Mystic, that just does so much damage. He's onto LetME, he's gonna fall onto Uzi. Get back to your spawn pad. And Mystic turns onto these Nexus towers. Unreal.
And just off the back of that, back up of Mystic, like, no, LetME!
They're gonna try it out. Here comes Uzi once more, turning it around. Kog'Maw goes down into the Guardian Angel. It's gonna come back up. Where's Ben? Where's the Savior?
No
Mystic
way!
going back down once more. And Uzi, he's seen the enemy AD carry doing, but he will not be outdone and sends WE packing.
You see it beginning with Mystic and it ends with Uzi. WE were trying to end the game, but they just not had the ability to do it. Great engage from LetME to allow Uzi to just clean it up.
And this isn't the WE that we usually see. This is now 2 games in a row where they feel like they have the momentum behind them and they overreach for the victory. It worked in game 1 and it bit them in the ass in game 2 here. Normally, they set up the perfect sweep. They go in, they smother everything, they flood you with creeps, and then they back out when they think that we've got everything we want, let's just play it safe.
Stalling this game out, 42 minutes in now. RNG clinging on to this, clinging onto their lives in this finals match, in this best of 5. Let's take a look at that one more time.
Check out the super creep. The super creep is in the Ivern brush, and it gives Mystic the vision to lay down all of those auto attacks.
And you mentioned it, this is uncharacteristic WE because at this point it looked beautiful, right? But they were just rushing it, they had the advantage to start, and just a little bit, just a tiny bit of a hole, and RNG were able to just go out right in there and open the game right back up. That could have been game over for RNG. WE could have been able to take that.
In the late game, Raz, you're absolutely right. You feel like you'd have to attack Kog'Maw and it's an instant whip it. Parallel convergence, RNG are chasing down WE, turning it on. Here comes Uzi, split off to the side. So much damage onto Condi, but here comes a turnaround. Mystic will fire back. Living artillery coming down, and again a ceasefire. But the fact that Uzi is standing toe-to-toe with a late-game Kog'Maw is in itself impressive.
Remember, way while back, we were talking about the 3-item Sivir. She has quite a bit of crit to her name, so she is just as demanding as Mystic here.
And she's incredibly punishing when Team W are grouped up like that.
But they are burning down this Baron so incredibly quickly. Mlxg, where's the steal attempt? Not going to happen. It's confirmed by Condi turning it around. 957, stay on the front lines. Where is Mystic? He can't quite get in range right now. Zoned out by that Fisher. Uzi on the front lines. He needs to get away right now.
They got
a flash. Uzi, he's going to go down. 2 kills, 2 WE. They are wiping the floor with RNG. They lose all their huge carries. Down goes LetME, and there is nothing that Ming can do but see his allies die. WE head it in to the base, run it down mid, run it down bot, look for the win. Super Minions chiming in as well, and 957 corralling all of this in to the base, onto the Nexus, and WE send RNG back to their makers. They take game 2.
Take a look at that. 2-0, and it hasn't really been much time to spare here. RNG suddenly, they could just be out here. WE's at match point.
A possible 3-0 in a final. Backs to the wall. RNG certainly have the experience between XiaoHu, Mlxg, and Uzi to dig deep and pull back. But Team WE, again, this isn't normally how they play. They're playing with momentum, and the crowd is behind them.
But WE, take a look at that goal grab, that turnaround. RNG absolutely had that early game. They were pushing back that Kog'Maw timer, but WE held on. They were stalwart. 45 minutes on that clock, and they turned it around. Baron after Baron, play after play, and WE, what a performance.
Yeah, and just to roll it back, because you can see it straight from the gold graph here. RNG, their adaptation from game 1 was actually stellar. They were able to take such a demanding control of this game. And what really nailed it down, what nailed it into RNG's coffin, and what made it very hard for them to push this game forward was because they didn't back away from 957. They had such a great 1-3-1, they never used it. They just decided to try their hardest to make it difficult for 957 to breathe, but WE just adapted.
And the irony on that gold graph was Uzi actually out-damaged Mystic on that Sivir up against the Kog'Maw, but when it got to those team fights, they were just both doing so much damage. It was the rest of the teams that propped up their AD carries and allowed them to win that game. And even at the end right there, WE, once they had that confidence, as soon as you are past that 35-minute mark, I'm losing my voice as well. It's just so incredible to be here right now. Everyone is yelling at the top of their voice, including the audience, and I am as well. But just the fact that they're able to trade blows and come into these team fights and know that we can take it now. Our comp is strong. Turn it online, turn it around, and we spoke about it before, right? RNG, they are the household names. Everyone knows Uzi, everyone knows Mlxg, but WE, first time in the finals, and they're about to clean sweep RNG.
I mean, it's about rebuilding a legacy, rebuilding a dynasty for Team WE. IPL 5 champions, but since the creation of the LPL, they've never been in a final. They've never won that title. They are no longer the world elite.
Yeah, and here's the only final they have been to. Was an IEM World Championship. Problem was they were the last place in the LPL at that time. So you'd mentioned how RNG, they're a household name. WE used to be that household name. They want to be that household name. All of these players want to go internationally and make a name for themselves. And my God, so far in this series, they're starting that legacy.
A return to form, perhaps, with this lineup has been together for so long as well, building it on up, and so incredible to see. I mean, last time they were international, that's 2015. It was 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, and the fact that doing this right here today in a domestic league is honestly incredible.
And just think about how different of a team they were back then. The fact that Xiye was pretty much a Diana one-trick double teleport. I mean, he came from solo queue as a Twisted Fate one-trick. It's no surprise that Team WE of all teams that, hey, I think we can put a bet on this this Twisted Fate player. You know, if you reach all the way back towards Messiah, they've now crafted Xiye from those beginnings. You look at 957, you said it before, Raz, came up from the LSPL, was on Team WE Academy, and has been built for this.
And you can see it just transition into game as well. The Baron went down, and WE turned it online, ground down RNG.
And let's take a look at Uzi's positioning here. He is in such a danger point. The moment he loses that spell shield, they all just jump on him. And the moment he's dead, he was dealing so much damage in these prior team fights. That's a lot of damage down, and the rest of RNG will fall.
And what's Ming going to do after that? We actually didn't see his demise, and we're going to cut the tape. You know, we just have to assume that he lived, even though we saw him die off to the side. But still, we turn our attention now to RNG, this lineup who Uzi really wants that domestic title, hasn't had a single domestic title under his belt for his entire career. He really wants it, and he needs to now dig deep with the rest of the team. Full Chinese lineup in a stadium full of Chinese fans. Maybe they can try and draw on that energy.
And they were nervous before, right? That's the interviews that we saw earlier on. The team of veterans, or at least XiaoHu, Mlxg, and Uzi, they weren't feeling so hot getting into this. And meanwhile, WE, they were like, we just need to shore up the few communication errors, and people are already talking to us as if we were the best team play in the league to start. So going into this, now suddenly RNG, they didn't have much to go on before.
Yeah.
They really have to dig deep.
And what do you say now if you're the coach? Because both of you guys have been in that position before, but right now, 2 games down, you're back to the wall. You had such a great early game in that last game. What do you say to your team, your lineup?
I mean, frankly, at this point, I actually think some of the coaching is the problem.
We're going to touch on that in a second. As 957 will take the MVP, and that's momentous in itself. The fact that this tank player goes and picks a carry, then a tank, 2 spectacular performances, and has that miracle outplay. Actually, not going to even call it a miracle, because it was him outplaying both of them in that 1v2 twice. And 957, I mean, he was the crux of what allowed them to win this game.
I mean, I wouldn't give it to anyone else. Like you said, the crux that allowed them to win the game, that incredible outplay, and then consistently on team fights, finding that backline, making sure that he got on top of Uzi, burning flashes so they couldn't be used in team fights. He was just all in one package.
And WE, they're confident in coming back into games as much as they are confident in taking leads. And you go towards Coach Home, he's incredibly impressed with his team. So now game 4, maybe they can wrap it up. They're looking at game 3, I mean.
Yeah, they have to try and get to game 4 in the first place. Raz,